The boy woke up and was surprised to find the world had completely changed. The glasses he couldn't live without yesterday suddenly seemed blurry. Thinking the glasses had broken, he looked at himself in the mirror and was shocked to see his once skinny frame had become muscular, defined, and filled with energy. He jumped 3 feet high, ran downstairs, and sprinted with a speed rivaling Bolt at his peak, easily catching the school bus. Unexpectedly, when he lightly touched his hand to a poster on the bus, it stuck tightly, and he had to pull forcefully to remove it. Looking at his clean hands, Peter still didn't realize his body had undergone extraordinary changes. During lunch, when the goddess Mary walked by, she instinctively lifted her head and accidentally stepped on some butter behind her, letting out a shriek the next moment. He never imagined he'd make close contact with the goddess in such a way. Just as he was feeling triumphant, he discovered the fork was stuck to his hand too, like a seal. He had to use his other hand to remove it, but as he pulled, web-like threads shot out from his wrists, sticking to the menu on the opposite table. Luckily, no one saw this bizarre scene, and Peter quickly yanked it off. Unexpectedly, a tray of leftovers splattered onto the class bully behind him. Peter tried to leave the cafeteria discreetly, but the web connecting the tray to his hand exposed his location. The bully and his group chased after him. Before they could get close, Peter, with heightened senses, detected every detail from the floating paper planes to the flies buzzing through the hallway and even the water droplets sprayed from a straw. Though the bully threw heavy punches, Peter easily dodged them, but the bully didn't grasp the situation's seriousness. Ignoring Peter's apologies, he kept raising his fists, but again and again, his punches landed on empty air. What he didn't realize was that Peter saw his punches as moving in slow motion. When the bully launched a strong punch, Peter dodged with a high-precision backbend, even when an ambush came from behind. With a light jump, Peter spun 180 degrees midair. Infuriated, the bully unleashed a martial style he'd trained for 8 years in detention, only to find the next second his wrist was caught by Peter. Peter made a slight turn, effortlessly tossing the bully about 10 meters away. Amid the cheers of victory, Peter caught a glimpse of terror in Mary's eyes. Realizing his mistake, he fled the school, panic-stricken, and hid in a dark alley. Looking at the bite mark on his hand from a spider, he instantly understood that his body's changes were tied to the spider that bit him yesterday. A day before, Peter had visited the New York Spider Museum with classmates. While taking pictures of Mary for the school paper, a loose, venomous spider silently crawled onto his sleeve. The spider then gave Peter a fateful bite. At first, Peter dismissed the brightly colored spider on the floor, but when he returned home, an unprecedented fatigue overwhelmed him. Stepping into his room, a sudden dizziness made him collapse on the floor. He barely managed to grab a blanket, but the bite on his hand had already swollen. Under the spider venom's influence, Peter's DNA began restructuring, merging with spider DNA in an instant. Looking again at his hands, Peter noticed sharp, fine barbs covering his fingertips. Experimenting, he placed his hands on the wall and discovered he could climb walls as effortlessly as a spider. Wow, I have spider-like superpowers. Thrilled, Peter began exploring. A light leap took him effortlessly across 2 tall buildings, but mid-jump, he realized there was no path ahead. Staring at the web remnants on his wrists, a bold idea took hold in his mind.
Fly! Up and away, web! That's it! Go! Go! Go, web, go!
Just when he thought of giving up, web sprayed out again. Aiming for a distant crane with the same gesture, the web hit the target instantly. Confirming its strength, Peter climbed the building's outer wall and, with closed eyes, jumped off. The outcome, just as expected. That night, Peter returned home to find the kitchen freshly painted. He remembered promising Uncle Ben earlier he'd return to help. Seeing the dinner Uncle Ben left for him filled Peter with guilt. At that moment, the sound of Mary's parents arguing came from next door. Using the excuse of taking out the trash, Peter struck up a conversation with Mary again. Their moment was interrupted when the class bully arrived, shattering the peace. Watching as Mary climbed into the bully's sports car, Peter couldn't hide his envy. If even a defeated opponent can drive a luxury car, why can't I? Looking through the classifieds, the moment came when Peter noticed a newspaper ad for an upcoming wrestling match. All he had to do was withstand 3 minutes in the ring to win a $3,000 prize. Thinking about cruising with his newfound crush, youthful hormones surged through him. Peter immediately grabbed his sketch pad and designed his first costume, inspired by the colors of the spider that bit him. Later that evening, he got ready for the wrestling match, cluttering his bedroom while preparing. His sudden changes didn't go unnoticed by Uncle Ben and Aunt May. That guy appeared more flamboyant than Thompson. He probably deserved the outcome, but just because you can doesn't mean you should. Always remember, with great power comes great responsibility. Peter, however, wasn't receptive to this wisdom, and retorted to Uncle Ben not to lecture him like a father. Hurt, Uncle Ben reluctantly stopped talking and simply promised to pick him up at 10. As soon as the car turned the corner, Peter headed straight for the nearby boxing arena, lining up for his match. When Peter laid eyes on his opponent for the evening, his jaw dropped. The announcer enthusiastically yelled, "The human spider." Peter objected and argued that it wasn't his chosen name. Yet the announcer thought it was unremarkable and opted to rename him Spider-Man, causing the crowd to boo loudly when Peter appeared. They thought his slim physique foreshadowed an easy defeat. To prevent Peter from escaping mid-match, the staff lowered a cage around the ring, locked tightly with chains. The Titan charged at Peter, but Peter's agility allowed him to jump away, making it look effortless. With only 3 minutes needed to win, Peter began distracting his opponent with clever footwork and web-slinging tactics. The opponent resorted to foul tactics, obtaining a chair to strike him without warning. Seeing the threat to his life, Peter retaliated with a kick to the opponent's face, followed by a swift move to knock him out, securing an easy victory. However, Peter's hope of winning $3,000 was short-lived. The sly promoter handed him only $100, claiming the match didn't run the full 3 minutes. Though Peter was upset, he swallowed his frustration. While exiting the building, a silver-haired individual carrying a firearm walked into the office. Shortly after, Peter heard shouting from inside. Instead of interfering, he ignored the commotion and let the man leave. "Thanks," the promoter muttered bitterly, questioning Peter's indifference. Peter told him ignoring the robber was a fitting lesson for him. But unbeknownst to Peter, that decision was already causing repercussions he could not predict. Heading home, Peter spotted a commotion on the sidewalk. Pushing through the crowd, his heart sank upon finding Uncle Ben lying in a pool of blood. A car thief had ambushed and fatally shot him just moments earlier. Remembering the morning's argument with Uncle Ben, Peter overheard a police dispatch detailing the suspect's whereabouts. Enraged, Peter donned his Spider-Man suit, scaling the nearest high-rise for a swift pursuit using his web-swinging ability. He confronted the suspect by breaking into his getaway car, causing it to veer off the road. The thief abandoned the car and dashed into an empty warehouse. But when faced with Spider-Man's relentless pursuit, his attempts to escape were futile. Peter caught him, slammed him against the glass door, and struck once more to make his anger known. "Don't harm me, please. Just grant me a chance," the thief pleaded in fear. Peter thundered, "Did you give my uncle a chance? Did you give him any chance at all?" At that instant, police searchlights illuminated their location. Only then did Peter realize that the robber was the same man he had let escape earlier. Crushed by the realization that Uncle Ben's death was preventable, Peter hesitated. The man drew his gun once more, but Peter quickly disarmed him, twisting his wrist until the criminal stumbled backward onto pipes, eventually crashing through the warehouse door. Although justice had been served, Uncle Ben's loss weighed heavily on Peter for days. That night, Peter unearthed his costume design sketches and reflected on the words Uncle Ben had left him with, repeating in his mind, "With great power comes great responsibility." Remember that lesson, remember that moment. This was when Peter truly matured. From that moment on, a turbulent world gained a new force for justice. Spider-Man. He roamed the city daily, his presence felt wherever crime arose, capturing criminals in the act. Soon, the name Spider-Man became widely recognized. Naturally, the immense attention also turned him into a target for the media. No clear photos of Spider-Man were obtained, so the editor offered a significant reward for unmasked high-definition images. Seeing this as a rare chance for him to earn rent money. Before each act of heroism, Peter carefully positioned cameras to snap exclusive quality shots. Although these photos were remarkable, the miserly editor kept finding reasons to lower his payment. Peter's photography barely covered his rent, but kept him hopeful of winning Mary Jane's affection, which was crushed at the Space Carnival. Snapping photos in a crowded event, Peter stumbled upon the realization. The girl he'd admired for years was now with Harry, his best friend and heir of the Osborn Corporation, highlighting their stark disparity. Peter's mood plummeted until his spider sense flagged imminent danger. Spotting a green-clad figure speeding on a glider, Peter initially perceived the applauding crowd's misunderstanding of it being part of the show. The Green Goblin promptly attacked Mary Jane and Harry's platform with an explosive. The blast weakened the balcony rails, leading to immediate collapse. On reflex, Peter rescued 2 spectators below the platform, but realized the situation required him to reveal his Spider-Man identity. He discarded his outerwear as Mary Jane's balcony creaked further toward disaster. The Green Goblin wasn't finished yet, immediately throwing a high-energy bomb at the feet of the Oscorp executives. In a flash, all the executives were reduced to ashes. "Hello there, love of mine." As danger escalated, Peter, donning his Spidey suit, descended swiftly to deliver a mighty blow to the Green Goblin, redirecting the glider into a distant hot air balloon. As chaos unfolded, Peter saved a young boy as a collapsing billboard threatened harm, yet the Goblin returned unyielding, blocking Peter's strike and sending him flying meters away. Regaining his position on the glider, the Goblin unleashed its arsenal on Peter once more. Proving resilient, the determined Spidey grappled his web onto a high-altitude balloon to aim for Mary Jane, hanging precariously. But before reaching her, Peter faced another ambush from the Goblin's attack. In a desperate counter, Peter used his webbing to blind the Goblin, then promptly destroyed the glider's circuitry, forcing the Goblin to retreat. However, by then, Mary Jane had also fallen from the platform. Amid her piercing screams, Peter dove down and managed to catch her at the last moment. Peter cradled Mary Jane as they soared across an entire street, finally placing her safely in a private rooftop garden. "I'm your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man," Peter said while whisking Mary Jane through the city. This act of heroism sparked fondness in Mary Jane's heart for Spider-Man. Meanwhile, Norman Osborn, the Green Goblin and Harry's father, retreated to his estate after falling to Spider-Man.
I don't understand.
Did you think it was coincidence? So many good things all happening for you. All for you, Norman.
What do you want?
To say what you won't